blow that breath of life together. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I am Reverend Beverley Strutt. I am the spiritual director here at this magnificent Center for Spiritual Living East Hawaii. And thank you for all of you being here today. When I look over the faces, some that we've seen every single Sunday, some that we haven't seen in a while, some that we've seen for the first time. You guys rock. You are just absolutely beautiful. To all of you out there online, welcome as well. You know, we can feel your presence as if you're right here with us in the sanctuary. And it is important. It truly is. This coming together, bringing us into the one breath at one time, is extremely important. So I'm so grateful for all of you that said yes to today, to be here with us, to be here in one. And as Glenn was speaking about community, it is the thing that is truly important. You know, we can do all of this stuff by ourselves, but there's something that we miss. So before I dive into the talk today, you know that the topic of this month is home. Hence, the welcome home that we do. We do the welcome every day, but we wanted to welcome back an extra part of what we're doing. We're also saying that today's topic is remembering home. So we get to speak about what we remember, we get to speak about connecting, we get to speak about that community that we know. And one of the things that Glenn mentioned is this idea of breaking the habit and what the effect that the pandemic had on this community. And let's not forget that within this, we also had a change of leadership. This is not to be rubbed under the rug. Our beloved Reverend Kathy decided it was time for her to step down and to take her place into being a mentor for this community. And she prayed and prayed and prayed, and she told me she prayed a lot to bring in a new leader that could take over. And I was praying and praying a lot to find a home for myself. And when the two prayers met, this is what happened. I was able to step in. And to say that that energy doesn't change how we feel as a community is to deny the very existence of energy itself. It does change. It changes purely by the fact of that I am not Reverend Kathy. I maybe grow up to be like her one day, but I am not yet like Reverend Kathy. And the same thing is that we are not the same. We are not the same as what we were when the pandemic started. We're not. So this idea of maybe trying something new, maybe coming back and seeing, okay, things have shifted. How much has changed? How much am I wanting to still connect with my community and see where we can take this ride together? We can. And by looking at all these beautiful faces today, I think it's a great start, you know? And I want you to know that as the new spiritual leader for the center, that I am available to each and every one of you. I remember there's still an invitation on the back of the Keep Me sheet that says, call me for a cup of tea. I've had some people respond, and we've got together for tea, so I can get to know you now. I'm not interested in hearing who you, from other people, who this person, that. It does not interest me at all. Who you are right here, right now, is the person I want to connect to. This is the person that I want to know me and to know you so that we can come together in community. And so I'm going to share with you a little thing from Thomas Moore, from The Care of the Soul, when he speaks about community. One of the strongest needs of the soul is for community. But community from the soul's point of view is a little different from its social form. The soul yearns for attachment, for a variety of personality, for intimacy and particularity, for care, fullness. So it is these qualities in community the soul seeks out. Not like-mindedness, and definitely not uniformity. And as I look around, I can see that we come together in the like-mindedness of our belief. But uniformity? Take a look around. This is who we are. We are colorful. We are filled up with all these different dynamics, all these different personalities, all these different ideas. But yet we can come together in community and be connected right here, right now. Oh, my heart just wants to break open at this minute. Just so that you know, I had no idea that any of this was going to come up before I stepped up here. But this is the divine at work through me, wanting to be said what I want to share with you. I didn't know how to say it, but the divine sure did. And I'm so happy to have expressed this love that we all feel right here, right now. So we speak about this connection. When I was in Phoenix, I took 2 weeks off. The board said go. They were like, it's time for a break. It's been a wonderful year. There's been so much going on. And yes, it was lovely just to stop for 2 weeks. I had a conversation with Reverend Karen Einhaus. She is the spiritual leader over at New Vision Center for Spiritual Living. And we got together for a cup of tea. No. We never got together for a cup of tea. If any of you know me, we got together for margaritas. So there we are, we're hanging out, we're having our margaritas, and we start talking about connection, what it looks like, what it feels like. And we both agreed, after going through this conversation, that it was going to show up in both of our services. I happen to still be in Phoenix for hers, and I'm going to let her know that we're talking about it today in our community. So she saw this connection as a web, an interconnected net of light that just covers everybody, covers the whole universe. It's an interconnected web of light. And we all are part of this web. We all get to tap into it, to be a part of this web, to know. Now mine is not necessarily just light. Mine is filled with information. You guys know me. I'm a bit more of a scientist. So there's this full of information, this energy that is running through everybody, connecting all the way around. In fact, when I was traveling a lot, and I'd find myself in a different country, I would go, how do I know where I am? How do I know where I am? I look around and I just seem to know that this street is going to lead me in this direction, this one in this one. How do I get from point A to point B? And I thought to myself, how do I do that? Well, guess what? I may not know where I am. Okay, let me voice that again. I may not know where I was at that point in time, but everybody that lives in that town knows where they are. Everybody knew where they were. Everybody knew which road went everywhere. So in this place of interconnectedness, in this web of information that travels throughout between the two of us, I was able to tap into that, to be a part of it, to know, to experience. We can call it the one mind, which is wonderful, but sometimes that seems a little lofty for us to go, I'm going to jump into the one mind to figure this all out and to know each and every one of you. Or I can go, there's a web. I'm going to grab that piece of web and connect. Very similar. Do you remember Avatar, the movie Avatar? Oh, I love that movie, especially in 3D. The glasses were funky, but I love that feeling, that depth and everything. Do you remember those wonderful flying horses? I think they were called the Ikran. Yep. Did you remember how the Na'vi used to attach to it? They take their tail, schluck, right into the mane of that horse. I believe it was that way. Either it was their mane and the horse's tail. Anyway, you remember what I'm saying. There was this massive connection that happened, bam! And in that moment, we were one. That's how I feel about this beautiful net of interconnectedness. And we know very easily that if we just look at our cup of coffee, what it took for us to get that cup of coffee in our hand, we cannot deny how many hands, how many people, how many ideas, how much connection it took for me to go, that's a good cup of joe, right? So we understand this whole thing about being interconnected. And it is so important that we go there. But what we have found, the pandemic came in the way. That was a big thing. However, just our lifestyles have gotten in the way of this connectedness that we have right here, right now. There's so much that we can do online. Who goes into their bank to do deposits? Maybe here on the island we do still, and we have a connection. You know, how many people do everything that they can online? Who actually chooses to do things online rather than go in and have a connection? This is normal. This is what we do. But what we have found with this is that there is a slow move away from the fire. All right? So when we go back to the beginning of time that we can remember and have recorded images of, there's always been a fire. And what do we do around the fire? We gather. We gather for heat. We gather for food. We gather for connection. We gather in community. So what we have done is we've moved ourselves away from the fire. And we've done it because we think life is better that way. There's a lot of great things that we can do on the net. I love it. Trust me. My phone, if I lost that phone, things would get really rough around here. Would get rough in my life. Thank goodness. What do? I upload everything to the cloud. So just in case, I can go, connect to the cloud and get it all down. Well, this is a way of our lives. Can you hear? Even my voice gets a little quicker. The energy gets a little higher when we're thinking, as opposed to, let's go back to the fire. Let's go back to the fire. Let's think about that place where we can connect at the fire. Because Dr. Ernest Holmes says this. He goes, all things, ourselves included, are some manifestation of it, the big it. Hence, all things have a direct relationship to it, capital It. Since all things emerge from it and are sustained by it, its sense is that in all things this relationship is direct and immediate. So we have a direct and immediate connection to the all that is. But don't forget that we are the manifestations, the magnificent manifestations of that which is it, in person as us. So when we want to connect with each other, we are also connecting with an expression of the divine. So when we come back into community, which is the invitation for today, is to come back into community. We want to reconnect, we want to remember what is that place that is home. What is that place that feels safe? What is that place where we feel nurtured? I mean, if you think about monkeys, you know they nettoyage, that's the French word, what's the word? Clean. They clean and nurture each other all the time. But without that, they die. Now, for people, we might just be a bunch of porcupines trying to stay warm. Yes. It can get itchy like that when we come back into community. And sometimes that's what we remember. We remember this itchiness as being, I don't know if I want to go. But last time I went, there was something a little funky, I'm not going to go back. But no, we can come back because there's an important part of being here. This is like the rock tumbler. This is the place, and you've heard me say this before, this is the place where we smooth our rough edges, polish ourselves into a shine. This is where we grow. You know, Dr. Ernest Holmes always said that this teaching for somebody that is in isolation or alone on the top of the mountain is easy. It is. Because you don't have to work out anything with the people around you. He goes, this teaching needs to be done in community with people. This is who we learn from. This is how we come together. So we come back closer to the fire. We come back, we remember how it felt to be in this place of love. I don't know if you remember last week, I spoke about unconditional love. That place of home that is unconditional love. And some might think that unconditional love is that, oh yes, I love you and everything is fine. Unconditional is not that at all. I'm going to read to you one more time because I thought it was so magnificent. The quote from Mark Nepo. He says, unconditional love means maintaining a commitment that no condition will keep us from bringing all of who we are to each other honestly. That's what it means to remember home. We're coming together honestly and unconditional lovingly. He continues to say unconditional love is not so much how we receive and endure each other as it is about the deep vow to never under any condition stop bringing the flawed truth of who we are to each other. So this is the magnificence about coming back into community, is that we get to be who we are, and everybody else gets to be who they are. And we get to do it together. There's this wonderful term in Africa called Ubuntu, where it literally means, I am because you are and we are. Ubuntu is that way of coming together where we recognize and know the interconnectedness of all life. What we bring to the party is the authentic self. If anybody's coming into community thinking, well, when I show up, I am going to be perfect. You know what? You can maintain that for about 2.2 seconds before somebody walks up to you and go, what's wrong with your hair today? You know, and it all comes down, and then suddenly we're in chaos. No, bless you. We come together exactly who we are, and if we do have that interaction, it's because we love each other and we care about each other. This is what we get to do here. We get to care about each other. We get to bring all of our flaws. We get to bring all of our gifts and all of our magnificence as we come back to the fire. We come back to the remembering of what home is. And you know that I'm never going to stop right there. Because you know there's always going to come a point when I take this to God. This is why we're here as well, is to dive a little deeper into our spirituality. So what part in all of this are we looking back at God? Well, besides the fact that we're all magnificent expressions of the divine, and so as we show up, the divine gets to speak through us and about us. But it is in this place where we get to connect more deeply. Because not only are we nurturing the physicality and the physical and the emotional side of everybody here, we're tending to your spirituality too. Each and every one of you is a nurse practitioner of spirituality to the person sitting next to you. Every single one of you. Because you are an expression of God. You are breathing the breath of life. You and I and you and you. We tend to the growth, the spiritual growth of each other. Every minute of every day. Because we are connected. We are connected by that magnificent golden net, as Reverend Karen would say. We're connected by that. We're connected by a physical place that we call home. But we're connected by the fact that we remember that our true home is a spiritual realm. And so that when we come together, we get to connect with each other, to nurture a growth that brings us closer to that calm and the peace that is our spiritual home. They say that we begin our journey in that spiritual home. We go through trials and tribulations, and eventually we land up going back into that spiritual home because we've sought it for so many years, so much time. Well, when you're here, you're literally in that place, in that boiling pot, that gentle, wonderful warmth of how we nurture and grow. We get to do that together. You know that we always notice that when the children fall in the playground, right? Nobody ignores them. All the kids, they run over. What has happened? And then maybe there's a little kiss the boo-boo. Do you think the boo-boo really does anything to take the pain away? No, it doesn't. But what does that do? It doesn't take the pain away, but it does take away the loneliness. Because as we rush to each other, we remember that we are not alone. There is no loneliness. We are here to be together, to nurture and love on each other in all the ways that we can. And you know what I know about this community? We do it well. We do it really, really, really well. I have watched over the time I was here last year for 8 months as we did my extended internship, which was a lot of fun, to now when I came back this year, I watched how each person interacts with the other, how each person is loving on everybody else. Even those that need a little bit more attention themselves are giving out and giving out. And so we get to step into those places because we know wherever there's a place that's open, we get to step in. We get to step into love. We get to run to the person that's fallen down, kiss the boo-boo, and tell them, it's okay. You're not alone. You're part of this magnificent community. So I would like to share a little piece from Reverend Jane Beach in closing. She says, when the world is turned upside down and the urge to give up rises to the surface, love scoops me up. It holds me close to remind me to be fully present in this moment and to know that I am cherished just as I am. Breathe in faith and let me carry you through this. Reminded of what's true, I let go of my inner chaos, hold on to faith, and allow myself to be carried. Allow myself to be carried. So my invitation to each of you this week, this month, this year, moving forward, is to allow yourself to be carried. Allow yourself to be loved on and nurtured. Come back to the fire. Come back to this place that we remember as home so that we can reconnect with the home that is the spiritual realm of who we truly are. Thank you. Let's take this to prayer. So we breathe in, and we can feel this energy that is filling up this space, this room, this energy of connection that is flowing through each and every person. This energy that is the unconditional love of the divine that is just pouring forth, filling us up, reminding us of who we are, reminding us of how important and valuable we are, reminding us to just remember home. Oh, and so I know for us as we walk forward and we choose to come back to the fire, to connect as we will, as we can allow our bodies and our minds and our love to reconnect. We remember home. We come home to a place that is safe, a place where we know that we are fully accepted and honored for who we are, right here, right now. So I know that as we walk our path, we walk it in grace, that this week is going to show us how when we extend ourselves out, how people will just fall into us and allow us to wrap our arms around them and in turn wrap their arms around us. For we are all connected. We are all one. And in this oneness, we are whole. So I just call this good. I release this prayer knowing that it is done. That Spirit has said, yes, my beloveds, welcome home. And let's claim this prayer together by saying in full voice, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Susanna.